Hey, my family and friends and fellow patriots. Great to see you again. Hope you're doing well. Hope all is well in your family and in your personal life as the world around us seems so insane. But, hey, this fella here at Full Spectrum Survival, I've watched his stuff for quite a while. Now, I've always been into that. I mean, far before I ever heard of him. I mean, I've told people for years and years and years, I mean, since I was a kid, I always believe in being prepared for things, whether that's food, ammunition, whatever it takes, man. You've got to be prepared for what comes next. I mean, you never know what can happen in the world, whether it's a natural disaster or, an EMP or all-out war. I mean, things happen. So I just highly suggest that you, if you haven't, stocked up on anything, do what you can. And I know some people have said to me, well, I really don't have the money for that. Well, I mean, over a period of years, you couldn't have bought an extra few cans or something and some rice. Rice is cheap and other things, I mean, just every time you go to the grocery store, get a little bit more. I mean, if you live in an area like Arizona, like out here in Tucson, you better have some damn water. I can tell you that. So, just think about what you need. If you're up north where it's cold, do you have firewood, a way to use it? Different things, man. And you always need to eat, right? If you're on medications, if you can hold some of those back, get some extras, always a smart move. Any source for power, you know where I'm going with this. You guys are bright, but he's a really good guy here. I'm going to do a critique. That's not really a critique. That's the wrong word. But we're going to go along with one of his videos right here. I think he's always got some interesting insights. I didn't watch all this. I started a little bit, and I thought, you know what, I'll do something on it. But you might want to follow him. He's not just spewing nonsense all day long. He takes you out and he shows you different things, different techniques you can use to grow food. He's got cards he'll send you, like if you join his thing. And by the way, I don't know him. This isn't a financial thing. I'm just telling you, I really like what he does and I think it can be beneficial to you. But you can join something he has. I don't think it costs much. And he sends you out like information every week on survival techniques and things you can do. So I think that could come in real handy. I mean, I hope it doesn't. But, often in life it does. Like I say, even if it's just a natural disaster. But okay, let's check this out. And as usual, I'll stop every once in a while and open my big mouth, put in my 2 cents. He usually thinks the way I think. I doubt we'll be disagreeing on anything, but if I do, I'll certainly be prepared to do that as well. But let's roll with it. Boom.
All right, everyone, we have some indications here, a little bit of breaking news that Russia is starting to work together with the United States of America, and I'm going to explain to you in this video why that might not necessarily be a bad thing. We have some video coming out of Sergei Lavrov.
It is definitely not a bad thing. It is not a bad thing.
The foreign minister to Russia. Let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say, and then we're going to talk about that.
It is very well understood, they told us, that countries like the United States and Russia would never have their national interest the same. They would not coincide maybe even 50 or less %. But when they do coincide, this situation, if we are responsible politicians, must be used to develop this simultaneous and similar interest into something practical which would be mutually beneficial, be it economic projects, infrastructural projects, something else.
Okay, so there we have Lavrov, the foreign minister to the Russian government, saying that when the interests of the United States of America and Russia coincide or start to parallel each other, you must build upon it immediately. And it was in the interest of world governments to globalize the consumption markets for decades. That's what they wanted. Cheap Chinese labor, cheap Pakistani and Afghani labor. They wanted all of your goods, not made by somebody down your street, employing your fellow citizens. They wanted your goods made cheaply and made to break by somebody in some far-off land that you never get a hold of. They wanted zero accountability, maximum profit. They knew since the beginning that globalization was a temporary game. They knew it.
I didn't really want. I'm sorry, I didn't want to interrupt him, but he's going on for a while, so I don't want to lose my train of thought. Very often, Russia and our best interest align. I mean, very often. And first of all, to avert World War III and nuclear destruction, well, obviously that aligns for everyone. I don't care, who you are, where you're from. The Russian people are not very different than us, by the way. Don't fall for that propaganda. For the most part, on their weekends, they're doing the same things you're doing. They're out at nightclubs. They're out playing music. They've got great bands. They've got musicians there. They've got poets there. They've got geniuses there. They've got everything that you would want to see in a society. Now there may be some things about their society that I don't like, but there's a hell of a lot of things I'm not thrilled with here also. Okay, but the Russian people themselves, I've known quite a few, and I've always gotten along very well with them. And of course, there's cultural differences wherever you go in the world, but for the most part, we align on a lot of things. And, energy and food production and trade, there's all kinds of things we can do together. Plus, let me tell you something. When the two toughest guys on the block get along, that's a good thing. It's a good thing for them, at least. So, us and Russia getting along, I'm all for it. Because to tell you what, man, the whole world, they're always talking about these Dems, how the world's now against us. That's all bullshit. Trump didn't get anybody against us. He's using tariffs and other things to negotiate and to make things happen. And by the way, they're reciprocal tariffs in most cases, which means, they were doing it to us. We just were too stupid to do it back. So I'm not going to get into that too far on this right now. But, we should get along with the big guys on the block as best we can anyway. And that helps avert, keeps the little guys in check too. Because, Russia can help with Iran quite a bit. Or Russia can help supply Iran. Which one would you prefer? Do you want a nuclear-armed Iran? I don't, because if there's anybody that'll definitely use it, they'll definitely use it.
It was going to come to an end. Trump is here. Maybe this is part of a bigger picture. I'm not really sure yet, but Trump is here right now to bring about a new order. And this new order will see, once again, the United States of America, maybe coincidentally with Russia.
He almost said New World Order, which is what we're fighting. But he's right. He's right. It is a new order. It's a totally different direction.
And with China as the economic and military powerhouses of the world. Not a globalization anymore, but an Americanization, a Russianization, and a Chineseization of the world, where the other countries, the ones that once benefited by being under the umbrella of the United States, or the umbrella of China, Asia, or the umbrella of Russia in European regions, now they must bow down to these global powerhouses. Now, I'm just fortunate enough to be living inside of the USA. Maybe you're fortunate enough to be living inside of another country that will benefit from a...
I want to remark on that because it's a big statement. It's a big statement. He made it quickly, but it is a big statement. You're fortunate enough to have been born in the United States of America. Our poorest... Now, there are some people that, there's people in the streets. Sometimes that's mental illness. Sometimes that's drug abuse. Sometimes, I guess, it can happen to someone, just horrible things that can happen to people, sickness and other things. And we should all be there to help those people. But for the most part, even the people that are considered poor in this country, let's not say our poorest, people that are considered poor in this country are very well to do. I mean, boy, that guy's really poor. And he's got a cell phone in his hand. And he ate that day. And he's stopping at the corner bar to have a couple beers. That guy's really poor. Now, he may be considered poor. But compare that to the poverty in other countries where they haven't eaten for God knows how long. Where their water is mud. Where they have no home, or they live in rubble. So the reason I bring this up is it's amazing to see these scumbags that were born in this country that are out in the streets right now, slamming this country and praising those countries. Go there then. You want to live like that? Go there. No problem. I'll get up a collection. We'll send you all there. You can all go to your utopia. You want to live there? Go there.
New, stronger America. But what they saw was with the game, they were going to have to, at some point in time, maximize their profits and then try to move their money outside of the country, move it outside of a touchable region, and get back to an America First agenda. One that employed your actual brothers and sisters, one that employed your neighbors, one that held accountable local politicians, and only through that would we see a positive change inside of our country. Now, I'm not sure if that's how it will go about, because you've got decades of corruption, decades of just outright evil things that have happened, decades of horrible actions by politicians lobbied by monopolizing conglomerates, Mondelez, Bayer, which makes Monsanto, which that poisons and then heals the people they poison. You know, it's just been bad for a very long time. So we might start to see some real changes here. And if you do see the USA and Russia and China all team up against the rest of the world, everybody will bow. Everybody will take a knee to these three empires. That's the only way that the empire of the USA will not fail. If it doesn't happen like this, there's not a military strategist out there. There's not a long-term economist out there.
This is factual, okay? What he's saying, if you don't like it, that's fine. You don't have to like it, but this is a hard, cold reality, all right? You've got the three. You've got the three. We can war with each other, which is total annihilation. If us, Russia and China went at it, if us and Russia or China and Russia, any combination thereof, the world is gone. The world is gone. So I see these so-called liberals who are really Satanist wackos just spewing this hatred, this vile shit. And they love war. I don't understand it. Trump's cozying up to Putin. No, he's not, first of all. That's ridiculous. Why would Trump, of all people, do that? Trump's not a weak man, and Trump's in the most powerful position in the world. But he's smart enough to understand that you don't want a pissing contest between our president and the Russian president. It's just absurd. If you're liberal and you're not a sociopath, just take a breath and think about it for a moment. You'll come to the same conclusions that I do. We may not agree on everything, on social issues, on everything, but for God's sake, can we agree that we don't want World War III?
There's not even a historic economist out there that doesn't say that America's empire will fail. This is the only way to extend that. Now, is it right? I don't think so. I don't want to be associated with communist China and what's going on in Russia, except some of the values I agree with, like the traditional values. But I don't want any association there. I want to be my own person in my own country, and I want my own children to have their own frugal futures. But they killed the American dream, turning it into an...
Well, they did kill the American dream. I don't know where he's going with that, but he's right. I think we can get the American dream back. I think it's on its way back right now, quite possibly. I believe that. I'm pretty optimistic. Most people I know are. But I'm not disagreeing. Actually, I completely agree with what he said. I don't want to be someone else. I don't want my culture. I'm not going to become Russia. China, certainly not China. Their culture's a mess. Not the Chinese people themselves, but I mean, it's a nation of slavery to their own people. But I think we can maintain our anonymity. I don't think we have to become part. I'm not suggesting become part of anything that there. I'm just saying I don't know if the word's alliance. Alliance may or may not be a strong word for this, but a friendly relationship, maybe have each other's backs, but just sort of tell all the little guys to knock off their shit and the big guys get along. And if we do that, we can have a fairly peaceful world. I mean, it'll never be pure peace because some asshole's always going after somebody, but I tell you what, it'd be nice not to have to be concerned that our children are going to be annihilated by nuclear war, wouldn't it? At least it's one thing we don't have to worry about.
A nightmare for decades Now we're going to have to suffer through the birthing pains. Maybe we won't see a stillborn United States of America come out of this, and maybe we will see something that can thrive and in this new future. The wasted, barren lands that they have left us with. Maybe there's a flower that can grow there. So we're just going to have to wait and see. But here's Sergei Lavrov, the Russian foreign minister, saying that Trump, Russia, the politicians will have to forge a new infrastructure, a new push forward. Let's see what else is going on out here. We have this guy is preaching on the streets, right? I don't know if he's preaching religiously. I think he's just kind of like preaching his own opinions, which, hey, it takes some, to do that, get out there and talk like that. But you have somebody come up, and this is, I tell you, you don't know where danger's coming from. He has somebody come up, and this person comes up to him and literally pulls out the smoke machine right here on this guy on the streets. Now, this person, I think they have some own identification values that don't align necessarily with my identification values, but they pull out the smoke right here on this dude who's posing no threat. I guess his words are very threatening, to this person, and his opinion is a very big, it's a threat to this person's life.
This is the tolerant left. These people are insane. Okay? The actual liberals, if you're a liberal and you look at these people now, you can't align yourself with these people. These people are crazy. You don't leave the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party left you. All right? You've heard that before, I'm sure, but it's very true. It's very true. I mean, there are no values there that a normal person could align with. None. They're all gone.
Probably because it makes them question their own life's choices. So they pull out the smoke machine and try to intimidate him there on the streets.
The buildings were going to be closed for security reasons. What does that mean?
Well, when people left today and they got their notification to take their laptops and their phones home with them, and
So there's a lot going on, switching up what has happened in the ways that they have educated or forced education into the minds of your children. I'm here to tell you right here that when they educate your children in the school system, they're indoctrinating. They can't be anything but that.
That's where
right?
I was going to go.
Just like your values are passed on to your children by living in your household, they've taken your children out of your household and put them into theirs, where they will push their own agendized narratives into their minds, making them think that their ideas are their own, when in fact they're not. They're written by some old people who have no concept of life, given the current economic environment, given the current environment of the people. They don't teach them.
I actually personally know someone that spent a lot of money, more money than they could afford, to send their daughter to college. And their daughter was a very nice girl. They got along well. I mean, very, very well. They loved each other. It was a great family. And she came back from college insane. I mean, insane. Like, way out there. Way, way out there. And her basic knowledge of history is so warped and incorrect that, like, there's no educational value whatsoever in that. Now, if you're going to be a doctor and you're going to go into something, something like that, well, certainly I understand that, and stay away from the indoctrination part of it. So we need education in our country. I'm not saying we don't, but these people go to school for the most ridiculous things. Their parents spend hundreds of thousands of dollars for them to get a diploma in women's lesbian pottery classes or some shit. I mean, what the fuck are you talking about? And then they come back and they're all nuts.
Them anymore how to wash their clothes, wash their toes, get healthy when they're sick. They don't teach them how to do their taxes, balance a checkbook, not go into debt. All they teach them is how to be a good listener and listen to what you're told to do. That's all school teaches them. Sure, you get some byproducts, right? You know that a frog is an amphibian. You know that a lizard belongs to the reptiles. You know that 1 and 1 equals 2, unless you're looking at, social context, like that person who pulled the smoke machine. You know some sort.
You know when you're, 1 year old, 2 years old, by 2 at least, that there are 2 genders, mom and dad. You understand. You don't understand the biology there, of course. I would certainly hope you don't. But you know it. You perceive it. You get it. These people go to college, they come back, they think there's hundreds of genders. What?
Certain things, but they're teaching you how to be a good servant and that you should be in debt the rest of your life. And you do have to wake up whether you like it or not. They don't want you to chase your dreams. They don't want you to live the American dream. They want you to be an NPC that fulfills their part of the dream. And they get to exert some power over you. So that's our current school system as it was. Now, with this switch up and with this change up in the new school system, you're seeing a lot of people push back against it because they don't want any change there. They want that gravy train, that money boat to ride till the end of the earth. But we're starting to see some things. Okay, so that was that. This is talking about Biden's pardons.
Secretary, many are concerned about the validity of President Biden's official actions and also his pardons of the possible criminal actions of individuals.
Oh, this is great. I don't know where this is going, but if you haven't heard, it appears Biden wasn't signing anything because he wasn't even there. I mean, and I know Joe. I know Joe when he was young. I've been in politics for a long time, and I've been to dinner with Joe. You know, not me and Joe going out. I never liked him very much, but I've been to dinner parties with Joe. Let's say it that way. I never liked him. He's always been a crooked bastard. But all that aside, at one point during his presidency here, I think when he went in, he had very little cognitive function. So it appears that they were just rubber stamping his name, basically, electronically signing everything. He doesn't know what got signed. And by the way, there's evidence of the fact that he literally doesn't know the things that he allegedly signed. He may not have ever signed them.
Such as his family members and Liz Cheney, as information's emerging that many of his official actions were auto-signed.
Yeah, there it is.
Possibly even the pardons and without his knowledge or consent. Does the White House have any information available currently that Biden was actually the one that approved and signed those pardons? And second question, will the DOJ investigate whether President Biden's cognitive decline allowed unelected staff to push through radical policy and pardons without his knowing approval?
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can check in with our folks here who may know the answer to that question and get back to you.
A lot of people are starting to ask the right questions, but they're not going to get the right answers, right? Because there's a lot of national security problems that are going to come into place with this last administration and even with what we're moving into. There's a lot that this change-up is going to bring out into the...
Well, and it's very difficult to prove unless a whistleblower comes forth, which may very well happen because, you know, when the ship is sinking, the rats start to scramble. So there may be some people ready to step up. It might get real interesting.
Open. And let me tell you, when you go into a hoarder's house or when you start to get rid of the garbage, the old food in the fridge, it stinks. And that's what we're going to realize.
Few weeks, it has been a high priority of mine to identify and bring to light countless issues regarding a Biden EPA gold bars scheme. 20 billion of your tax dollars were parked at an outside financial institution in a deliberate effort to limit government oversight, doling out your money through just 8 pass-through, politically connected, unqualified, and in some cases, brand new NGOs. The money has since been frozen, and the Department of Justice and FBI have been investigating. You may have heard how a group linked to Stacey Abrams received $2 billion after reporting a mere $100 in total revenue the year before.
Listen to that again.
$1 billion. You may have heard how a group linked to Stacey Abrams received $2 billion after reporting a mere $100 in total revenue the year before.
$2 billion.
Or how the founding director of the EPA's program dished out $5 billion to his former employer after shaping the legislation that created the program from his White House post.
So no matter which way you look at it, the corruption is rampant.
Good job, Kelly.
And these crazy people are fighting what Doge is doing, what Elon Musk is doing. Elon Musk is an American hero. Okay? He's doing something great for this country. He wasn't even born here. He's doing something great for this country. He's giving up so much. And people are threatening his life. And they're serious about it. They actually want harm to be brought to this guy. Someone robbed your house and someone else caught them, and you're mad at the guy that caught them and returned your stuff? What's going on?
But what President
Listen to this guy, okay? This is important that you hear.
Trump is doing is insane. It is absolutely insane. It is about the 8th reason we've had for the tariffs. And now he's saying he's putting 50% tariffs on Canada unless they agree to become the 51st state.
That's a lie. Oh, these people lie constantly. First of all, I'm not going to weigh into the tariffs, but the tariffs are a bargaining chip. So that's a big part of the tariffs. Trump threatens them, and he gets what he wants, and then he backs off. If he doesn't get what he wants, he doesn't back off. Also, a lot of the tariffs are reciprocal. Okay, that you have to understand. All these other countries were charging us tremendous tariffs on our goods going into their country. We were charging them jack shit. We were getting robbed. So now, if they're charging us, let's just use an easy number, 20% they're charging us, and they were charging us like 200% shit. But they're charging us like 20%, so we say, all right, we're going to charge you 20%. How is that wrong? Now, what Trump does is, I'll charge you 80% if you don't give me this. I'll charge you 160%. I'll double it next week if you don't give me this. And then they fold every time. We're watching it. They're all folding. Now, this moron saying that it was 51% tariff if they didn't become part of the United States. No, it was a 50% tariff. I don't think it was 51. I think it was 50, but who cares? That was because Canada threatened to shut off the electric because I can't believe this is even real. Who was running this country? But they were supplying a lot of the electric to the Northeast there, to New York and other areas. So, and they threatened to cut off their power to rate while the tariff hit the hell so people couldn't afford it, or to even they literally said this, or shut off their power. And these are cold regions of the country too. So Trump turned around and threatened them with I believe it was on aluminum and whatnot, another 50% tariff. And then they decided they weren't going to shut off anybody's electricity, nor were they going to raise their electric prices. So that's bullshit what he just said. Blatant bullshit.
Is insane. There
he
is
was
just
mad
no
about the
other way.
electricity.
You're a liar.
And the trouble, Kelly, is that it shows there are no bounds around President Trump. This is very different from the first administration.
That's the key part right there. That's what I can agree on. This current administration is very different than the first one. What we're starting to see is actual proof that America has to be put first. Whether you want to say it's for the people, for the corporations, which will employ the people by proxy, whether it's for a removal of the narrative of healthcare, whether it's for some correction in the corruption, America is being put first. And so that is very different than the first administration. That's where I can agree with him at.
Ursula is mobilizing everybody, everybody to...
Russia does not give any more FAFOs, guys. Russia knows that if Europe comes against Russia, the nukes are going to fly. And I'm telling you that. The nukes will fly. Whether it's directed, whether it's targeted, whether it's tiny, something big is happening. It might not even be, the nukes don't even have to be radiation. The nukes mean something that ends you and ends your world.
Yep.
That could be a bio attack. That
EMP.
could be complete infrastructural takedown. Imagine every country in NATO suddenly loses their ability to turn their lights on. You don't need to fire a nuke.
Can you imagine what would happen in the United States of America? And this is shocking because I'm old enough to remember when, you were lucky to find a payphone when you needed one. You imagine what would happen if these just stopped working? If just our cell phones stopped working? Can you imagine? Why the hell did that pop up? Oh, because I got that on charge. Can you imagine what would happen if just our cell phones went down? So many people's lives revolve around those cell phones. There's no that's like it used somehow. It's almost like when we were kids we could psychically communicate or something. I don't know how we did it. We all knew, we all showed up on the corner, like 20 of us at the same time, and went and did something. Like we all just knew somehow. I mean, I'm not really serious that we were psychic, but you know what I'm saying? And nowadays, without those phones, I'm telling you right now, that's all it would take. That's all it would take to throw the world. And then imagine the electric grid. That's Mad Max shit.
They're already in the systems. They have the saboteurs
Yes, they do.
set up and ready. Russia is not afraid of this next part of the collapse. Well, guys, we're bringing you this information here every day, Full Spectrum Survival on YouTube. Please make sure that you are subscribed to the channel. Make sure that you check that little button down there that shows a bell. Click all. Then you're going to get an alert to all videos we put out. We don't tax you 1 to 2 a day so that you and your family know what's going on, but you don't have to doom scream all day long. From my family to yours, please stay safe and keep watch.
Hey, well, look, like I said in the beginning, and I do not know this man, and it's not about that. I've never even spoken to him, although I'd like to. He's a pretty bright guy, and he knows a lot of things about survival. A lot. But, yeah, you should. You should check out. That's one of the reasons I let it go there, because he's got all his information up there. Check out Full Spectrum Survival. I really think some things on there you could learn. And I guess that's about it. But the world's insane, and I am optimistic, though. I'm still concerned, but I am optimistic. We're moving in the right direction in a lot of ways. And the biggest one is I think I'm more optimistic that we can avert World War III. And that is a really, really big one. So at any rate, I hope you have a wonderful day or wonderful evening whenever you're seeing this. Keep your family close. Tell them you love them. You never know how long we're here. And that's about it. I love you all. God bless America. And Twisted. Oh, Ed, you know what? He just said it too, so I'm going to say it because I always forget. Please like, subscribe, share, hit notification buttons. I get shadow banned really bad. If I was talking a bunch of liberal crap, they'd be pushing me out there. But they don't like what I say, and they don't like the way I say it. So I'd really appreciate if you help the channel grow. It's not about money. It's not about that. It's about fighting back against this evil. So please go talk to your neighbors. You make YouTube videos. If you don't do that, talk to your friends. Talk to the people at work. Look, we've got to combat this evil. I mean, these people are absolute terrorists that are in our country right now. You see what they just did at Trump Towers? I got a video on that. Go check it out. All right. I love you all. Twisted is out.